Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So today we are going to talk about the innocent, law-abiding Maryland father who was viciously apprehended by the Trump administration and his thugs who are acting as immigration officials. And due to a massive administrative error, he was deported out of America without any due process whatsoever, and then sent to a cold, dark cell in the middle of the deepest hole of an El Salvadoran prison, where he may never see his loving wife, his family, or the light of day ever again. All because clearly Trump is just kicking everyone out of this country who has brown skin because he just assumes that anybody that does not look like him is not an American citizen. Now, if you didn't know, we will be talking about Kilmar Abrego Garcia. And in case you didn't catch on, my intro is based on what the media would have you believe about this case. But shockingly, they are omitting a lot of very important information about how this whole scenario played out. Why? Well, because their sole purpose is to make Trump look bad and to make anybody who supports him look soulless and inhumane. And the way I delivered that scenario to you just now is the story that they've created to fit the agenda of making Trump and the right look like big meanies. So as usual, the facts don't support the thing that they are trying to portray, and that is what we are going to look at. But before we get into it, please hit the thumbs up button and subscribe if you have not already. I appreciate you doing both of those things. So when I first heard about this story and the first headlines that kind of brought it to my attention, it basically said the Trump administration had just accidentally deported a Maryland father on a plane full of gang members, these hardened criminals. And those reports did to my brain what they were intended to do. They conjured up this image of an innocent man just barbecuing in the backyard with his family. He's got his apron on, he's got steaks on the grill, kind of like this guy. And then I pictured him suddenly being tackled by this huge mob of ICE agents, being handcuffed in front of his family, thrown down, and dragged away while his wife and kids scream in the distance. No reason, no question, no explanation, just gone. And if that were true, people should definitely be outraged, myself included, because again, that's the image the media wants in our heads. And if you got to the point where you think that this is going to be the new norm and everyone with brown skin should be scared, then congratulations. The media has accomplished exactly what they wanted. You've been propagandized. You believe Trump is after you and innocent brown people. And if you're a white liberal, you now believe it is your job to grab your poster board and scream and yell in the streets. Congratulations, guys. You have fallen in line perfectly. But this is where people who like facts take a step back because we're actually interested in truth and we don't thrive on things like fear, anger, and hostility, but we have a greater appreciation for reality and the law. So who is this person and what happened? Well, based on listening to countless people talk about this situation, most of them lawyers, this is what I gathered. Kilmar Abrego Garcia is not a U.S. citizen. He was brought here by his parents when he was 16 years old, and he never gained citizenship. A few years later, he was arrested outside of a Home Depot because law enforcement received a heads up that he could be an MS-13 gang member. He was then handed over to ICE, where he landed in court for the first time, and that started the process of removal. So that was due process number one, because the media is trying to say that he has had no due process whatsoever. He went before a judge where the judge determined that there were grounds to deport him. He then went through two more court proceedings, which would be number 2 and 3 of due process scenarios. He had an attorney. Again, he talked to a judge where people were presenting evidence for and against whether or not he should stay here. And the judge at that time determined that there was evidence to show that he was a verified member of MS-13, and this was back in 2019. He had the opportunity to prove that he was not a member of this gang and that if he was released, he would not be a danger to others. He did not prove his case. So later, when he realized that he was at the end of his rope and the reality of being deported hit him, he decided to try and claim asylum, which you can't do because asylum is based on you fleeing your country based on an immediate threat, and you have to prove your life is in danger if you go back and that the authorities in that country cannot protect you from that danger. And asylum has to be filed within the first year of you being in the US. So he didn't qualify, but at the same time that he asked for asylum, he also asked specifically that if he were to be deported, to not be sent to El Salvador due to threats from rival gangs. He was not granted asylum, obviously, but the judge did say, you can't send this man to El Salvador. So he was on an order of removal to another country, and that order was issued 6 years ago. He did not have to go to El Salvador, but he was also not allowed to stay in the US. But he chose to stay. Now, 6 years later, yes, he was sent to the one country that was the one place he was told he could not be sent to. However, the questions now are, does the threat he claimed he was up against still exist 6 years later? And now that the Trump administration has officially declared MS-13 as a terrorist organization, as officials who are familiar with these gangs have been pushing the US government to do for years, the findings of this past judge after due process that he was part of this gang makes it so that he's not only in the US illegally as someone who never had citizenship and was ordered to leave years ago, but now he is a member of a group that is a direct threat to the US. So what are we not understanding about this? I'm also aware that there are a lot of ins and outs about this case. I know that at this point, based on different orders by the courts, we could come to find out that this was a complete mistake. And I hope this man stays safe until we can figure it out. Well, I hope he stays safe regardless. But at this point, it was completely understandable why this man ended up where he did. And interestingly, as the situation is being addressed, the president of El Salvador paid a visit to President Trump, and he had the pleasure of experiencing our insane, morally depraved media who are completely devoid of demonstrating even a semblance of actual journalism. And this was his response to a question from CNN's Caitlin Collins when she asked if he planned to return Garcia to the U.S.
Can President Bukele weigh in on this? Do you plan to return him?
Well, I'm suppose you're not suggesting that I smuggle a terrorist into the United States, right?
It's always
how can I smuggle? How can I return him to the United States? Like I smuggle him into the United States, or what do I do? Of course, I'm not going to do it. It's like, the question is preposterous. How can I smuggle a terrorist into the United States? I don't have the power to return him to the United States.
But you can release him inside El Salvador.
Yeah, but I'm not releasing. I mean, we're not very fond of releasing terrorists into our country. I mean, we just turned the murder capital of the world into the safest country of the Western Hemisphere, and you want us to go back into the releasing criminals so we can go back to being the murder capital of the world? No, that's not going to happen.
Well, they'd love to have a criminal, released into
I mean, there's a fascination.
They would love it.
Yeah,
they're sick. These are sick people.
I just have to say, President Bukele looks like a Backstreet Boy. That's what he reminds me of. Anyway, he highlighted the absurdity of the question and just how pro-crime the left is by saying, I can't send someone who has been deemed to be a member of a foreign terrorist organization into your country. He's not a citizen of the US. He has no rights here. He was ordered to leave years ago, and he didn't. Secondly, El Salvador has heavily cracked down on these gangs in the last few years, throwing them all in prison, basically. And they have seen crime and murder decrease to the point where they went from being the murder capital of the world to one of the safest places in the world. In fact, Garcia might even be safer there than he is in the US right now. And Bukele's like, wait, you want me to let criminals and gang members out? And not only that, you want me to send them here so they can live freely on your streets? Like, who would advocate for that? Well, let me tell you who would advocate for that, President Bukele. Today's Democrat Party. I mean, they see the guy who killed the CEO of United Healthcare as a hero. The kid who just killed another high school student got rewarded with a brand new car. And you should have seen the heartbreak by these people over the man who almost assassinated our current president, but failed to do so. These people love crime and murder. So Abrego Garcia is exactly the kind of guy that they cheer for over here. Speaking of which, this is a Democrat senator from Maryland, Chris Van Hollen, who literally jumped on a plane to bring an MS-13 gang member back to America.
I just landed at the airport in San Salvador a little while ago. I'm now en route into the city. Looking forward to meeting with the team from the American Embassy. After that, I hope to meet with some high-level government officials from El Salvador. As I've said before, the goal of my visit is to talk to people here about the release of Kilmar Abrego Garcia. I told his wife and his family I would do everything possible to bring him home, and we're going to keep working at this until we're successful. I also hope to have the chance to meet with him, but we'll have a better idea if that works out a little later on.
You literally can't make this stuff up. This disgusting display by Democrats does hit home for the families of people who have lost loved ones, specifically innocent young women, to violent illegal immigrants in the last few years, as they saw no support for them when their daughters were murdered. But now they have to watch their representatives fight tooth and nail for these criminals. This is Rachel Morin's mother talking about what this looks like to her.
What are your thoughts on your senator going to bat for this illegal, but did he ever say anything to you and your family about your loss? Ever call you, ever take the time to be with you?
No, actually, I'm very angry. I'm actually outraged, but I'm too sad at the moment to show anger at the same time. He did not call our family. He did not give condolences. There was no action on the Democratic Party in any way, from Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, Mayorkas, anyone here in Maryland, none of the senators did anything to help search for the murderer of my daughter.
Yet this is the party of women. Yeah, no one with a speck of common sense who believes in the law, who has any morals at all or any respect for women, believes that. But speaking of being anti-woman, as we know all Democrats are, this came out today. In this tweet, it says, Kilmar Abrego Garcia had a history of violence and was not the upstanding Maryland man the media has portrayed him as. According to court filings, Garcia's wife sought a domestic violence restraining order against him, claiming he punched, scratched, and ripped off her shirt, among other harm. The MS-13 gang member is not a sympathetic figure. But he is right in line with who today's left fights for: men who brutalize women. But if you listen to their narrative, this is who you believe that the Maryland senator is going to retrieve. Guys, I can concede that maybe there was a clerical error in this whole situation regarding where this man was sent, but not that he was deported. He had an order to leave over 6 years ago and he ignored it. And if through the legal process they do find that he has a right to be in the US, then by all means, he can come back and we can all admit that this should have never happened, and we can hope that things go better in the future. But just so we're clear, this would have been a lot easier to figure out if we didn't have like 12 million illegal immigrants and thousands of gang members and thousands of terrorists who were in this country, let in by the last administration, who were literally flying these people into the interior of the US over the last 4 years. They created an immigration monstrosity of a mess to deal with, and cleaning it up is going to be messy. Anyway, I guess if you ever wonder if today's Democrats can get any worse or demonstrate their total lack of conscience or show us how absolutely depraved and evil they are any more than they already have, they continue to outdo themselves. In fact, I think at this point, every time we ask that question, they take it as a challenge. But I would love to hear all of your thoughts on this in the comments below. Please hit the thumbs up button on this video. Subscribe to my channel. You can do so by tapping on my face in the left-hand corner of the screen, or just hitting the subscribe button. Other than that, keep it real, guys, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.